as they saw them as traitors. And so those Buffalo soldiers that were captured by the Confederates during battle were usually shot or burned to death immediately. So if you were a Buffalo soldier in a battle and you were captured by Confederate forces, they were not going to give you the privileges of being a prisoner of war and send you to prison camps. They were going to either shoot you on the spot or set you afire immediately. Now, what about the white officers who commanded those black troops? If they were captured by the Confederates, what kind of treatment do you think they got? What? Same. Equally as bad. If you led black troops in Macklin, you could be treated like a black troop. So in addition, these white officers who commanded black troops were often given the same treatment if captured by Confederate forces. Okay? But it was a brilliant thought process on Lincoln. He got himself a few more soldiers, which wasn't the most important. He quieted the radical Republicans, which was kind of important to him, but he kept France and England out of the war, which was crucial. Okay, that'll take us then to our next battle in the Eastern Theater, the Battle of Fredericksburg. Battle of Fredericksburg. Well, guess what Lincoln does after the Battle of Antietam? He's done it a couple times, or three. He changes overall commanders again. Who's the overall commander right now? Who used to be the overall commander? McClellan. Okay? He replaces him with Union General Ambrose Burnside. So again, disappointed with the leadership of General McClellan, after the Battle of Antietam, President Lincoln replaces him as overall commander of Union forces with Union General Ambrose Burnside. This is quite a story. So Burnside gains control of the Union troops, and he makes the decision that we are going to attack the Confederates again near Richmond. Go back to that philosophy of capturing the capital. And he's going to engage the Confederates at Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is just outside of Richmond. So the Union plan under General Burnside was to attack the Confederates near Richmond at Fredericksburg, Virginia. And the philosophy is the same. They were going to secure a victory at Fredericksburg, advance directly to the Confederate capital of Richmond, take Richmond, and end the war. Same old philosophy. Okay? Well, Burnside was a little bit traditional. So on December 13th of 1862, Burnside leads his Union troops on a frontal attack against the Confederacy at Fredericksburg. So on December 13th of 1862, General Burnside led his Union troops on a frontal attack. What does that mean? You're attacking from the front against rebel forces at Fredericksburg. He had a little bit of Pakenham in him. He was traditional. So how did Burnside march his troops into the Battle of Fredericksburg? Yep, strict formation. Marched them in on this frontal attack, then strict formation toward the Confederates. Now, where do you think these Confederate soldiers were, Delaney, my dear?
Not in straight
Not, yeah. Where were they at?
Everywhere else where they couldn't get hit.
Behind trees and rocks and any other unseen areas that they could be hiding behind. And as Burnside marched his soldiers in strict formation toward the Confederates, they were cut down like crazy by the rebels who fired behind rocks, trees, and other unseen hiding places. Just wiped them out. It was unbelievable. And in a very, very short, just hour or two engagement, the Union lost 12,000 soldiers in this battle at Fredericksburg. Crushing defeat for the Union. Just got their butts kicked. Well, what time of the year is it?
Christmas.
Christmas almost. So what are kind of the rules of war? Although in the Revolutionary War, George Washington cheated.
No battling?
Yeah, you don't fight much during the winter. So after the Battle of Fredericksburg, again a crushing defeat for the Union, both the North and the South take positions close to home, North close to Washington, D.C., South close to Richmond, and they basically dig in for the winter, and you're not going to have any more fighting during the winter here, during the Civil War. So it'll be when the spring of 1863 comes about that will re-up this Civil War. And that battle that will re-up the Civil War in the spring of 1863 will be the Battle of Chancellorsville. Battle of Chancellorsville. So, I mean, who's kicking whose butt so far in our lecture? All the way through. The Confederates are just letting us have it. We've had kind of a tie in Antietam, but have we had any other wins? No, we keep pounding at this Confederate capital in the Eastern Theater. Well, we'll talk about the Battle of Chancellorsville. Well, Lincoln did something again. What did he do? He changed overall commanders, and he replaced Burnside with Union General Joe Hooker. Union General Joe Hooker. And it would be General Hooker who would lead approximately 130,000 troops into battle against the Confederacy at Chancellorsville, Virginia. So when the spring of 1863 arrived, President Lincoln again changed overall commanders. This time he went to Union General Joe Hooker, and General Hooker is going to lead approximately 130,000 Union troops into battle against the Confederacy at Chancellorsville, Virginia. Now, Lee is vastly outnumbered here. Vastly outnumbered. Okay? I'm going to try to explain what he does. So here's Lee and his men, and here's Hooker and his men. We're kind of getting our butt kicked here, right? Looks like we're going to. Well, knowing he's badly outnumbered, what does Confederate General Lee do? He divides his small army into two separate units. He takes half of them and he orders them to go on a kind of behind the back door attack on Hooker's troops. So knowing he's badly outnumbered, Confederate General Lee boldly divides his smaller army into two separate units, and Hooker is expecting a frontal attack from the Confederates from all of the men. He doesn't anticipate at all that Lee will split up his troops. Well, as a result of this, Lee ordered General Stonewall Jackson to attack Union General Hooker's troops from a different direction, a kind of a sneak attack. Because where is Hooker and his troops focusing? Straight ahead. Okay? So General Lee orders General Stonewall Jackson to attack Union General Hooker's troops from a different direction. And he does, and he takes Hooker totally by surprise. And as Stonewall Jackson's back here giving him the business on this side, Lee attacks the main force of Hooker's troops. And believe it or not, even though they were grossly outnumbered, the Confederates win another military victory over the Union at Chancellorsville. However, the South paid a very high price for their victory. So using this brilliant strategy to divide his outnumbered forces in half and attack from a different direction, the Confederates again defeat the Union at Chancellorsville. However, the South is going to pay a very high price for this. During this battle, General Thomas Stonewall Jackson was accidentally shot by one of his own men who mistook him for the enemy. Jackson was shot. He was shot in the arm. So during the Battle of Chancellorsville, General Stonewall Jackson was accidentally shot by one of his own men who mistook him for the enemy. Got shot in the arm. What was the treatment for an arm wound? Amputation. So his arm was amputated and he was expected to live. So he was shot in the arm, which was eventually amputated, and he was expected to live. Well, after this, he caught a very high fever, not from being shot in the arm, but he had an undetected internal injury from the battle. Okay, in other words, he bruised himself internally, and what do you do internally? You bleed, and he got a high fever. And as a result of this undetected internal injury and bleeding inside, compounded with the high fever he accumulated, he eventually died shortly after the Battle of Chancellorsville. So Stonewall Jackson dies. And after his death, General Robert E. Lee was quoted as saying, "I have lost my right arm and know not how to replace it." It was a huge loss for the South from a commander point of view. So although they won the Battle of Chancellorsville, they paid a very steep price because General Stonewall Jackson was accidentally shot by his own men. He was shot in the arm, they amputated his arm, and he was expected to live. However, he caught a high fever from an undetected internal injury, was bleeding inside, and it resulted in his death. Now, despite the loss of General Jackson, the Confederate victories, including this last one at Chancellorsville, is going to give the Confederates a renewed confidence that they can win the war. Now, because of this, what do they decide to do for the second time? Go on the offensive and take the war to Union soil. What's that battle going to be called? The Battle of Gettysburg. Okay? And we will save that battle for tomorrow. Now let me tell you kind of what we're going to do here. This Battle of Gettysburg is very, very important. It's several pages long. We will not get through it all tomorrow. But those of you that are going to be gone tomorrow, make sure that you get on the website and pick that up. I think we've got tomorrow scheduled to be gone. It'll be Dane and JC and Ivan is all. Okay? Now, Friday, because we have a lot of kids that are going to be gone Friday, we're going to watch a video.